Aloha. Welcome to the Mr.G podcast. This is episode number 30, coming to you from a sizzling 81 degrees on the outskirts of Chinatown in Honolulu, Hawaii, the largest city in the Pacific. On today's episode, we're going to continue where we left off on yesterday's episode 29, when we're going to talk about millionaires and billionaires. Yesterday, we talked about the 5 wealthiest people in Hawaii and what exactly they do. Surprisingly, Hawaii doesn't have a lot of billionaires. Hawaii has a lot of millionaires, probably more than anywhere else in the United States. We're going to go over the details in a minute. But there are only a few billionaires in Hawaii, and they're actually some of the richest people in the world. Zuckerberg and Ellison, the guy that bought the 99% of the island of Lanai. So that's understandable. I was thinking about that. Why is that? Why are there a lot of millionaires in Hawaii, but not a lot of billionaires? Well, Hawaii has the highest home values of anywhere in the United States. The average home price in Hawaii is $1 million. So just the average Joe Schmo walking down the street that owns a home is a millionaire when you consider his assets. Hawaii also has the lowest property taxes of anywhere in the United States. With that, it enables people like Joe Schmo to own $1 million home because he's not paying taxes out of the kazoo. But there is a huge difference between millionaires and billionaires. You need 1,000 millions to be a billionaire, just to have $1 billion. And a lot of people, the people at the top of the list, they have multiple tens of billions of dollars. So when you think about it, they had to hit 1,000 millions. Like if you have $10 billion, you had to hit 1,000 millions 10 separate times. That means you could give 1,000 people $1 million, $10 million. If you have $10 billion, you can give 1,000 people $10 million each. So it's the wealth distribution has never seen numbers like this, and there is no middle class, especially in Hawaii. Like I said, yesterday's episode 29, we went over the 5 wealthiest people in Hawaii. Today, we're just going to break down differences between millionaires and billionaires. Where are most of the millionaires living? Where are most of the billionaires living? The Mr. G podcast is available wherever you listen to podcasts. It's a regular podcast, guys. I'm in the podcast club. You can't keep me out. So Amazon podcasts, Spotify podcasts, Google podcasts. Listen to the Mr. fucking G podcast where at your work, at your store, blast it in your little convenience location. Listen to it when you're riding on the bus. All right. It's worth your time. All right. You're in early on the Mr. G podcast. So, with that being said, millionaire. According to Wikipedia, a millionaire is an individual whose net wealth is equal to or exceeds 1 million units of currency. Depending on the currency, a certain level of prestige is associated with being a millionaire. More so in previous times. Nowadays, millionaires are a dime a dozen when you think about it. 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, even 100 years ago, there were still millionaires, but they were few and far between. They were the billionaires of today. Many national currencies have or have had at various times a low unit value, in many cases due to inflation. It is obvious much easier and less significant to be a millionaire in those currencies. Thus, a millionaire in Hong Kong or Taiwan, for example, may be nearly average wealthy. Peach, what are you doing? Bad. So, yeah, of course, when we look at the list here, I noticed that there are a lot of millionaires in Taiwan, and there's a lot of millionaires in Hong Kong. That was surprising to me. But now that I look more into it, it's because their price of inflation is so high. A millionaire in Zimbabwe could have been extremely poor in 2007. Because of this, the term millionaire generally refers to those whose assets total at least 1 million units or high value currency, such as the United States dollar, the euro, or the pound sterling. And I'd also say the Australian dollar in that club. As of December 2022, there were estimated to just be over 15 million millionaires in the world. So it is extremely rare to be a millionaire. The United States had the highest number of millionaires, 5.3 million. So there are over 5 million millionaires in the United States, more than any other country. China is number 2. And countries that use the short scale number naming system, a billionaire is someone who has at least 1,000 times $1 million, euros, or Australian units is what I would say. Where did the term millionaire come from? Well, the word millionaire was apparently coined in French in 1719 to describe speculators in the Mississippi bubble who earned millions of livres in the weeks before the bubble burst. The standard French spelling is now millionaire, though the earliest reference uses a single N. So it comes from the 17th century. All right. So there are numerous ways to measure someone's financial status. They could have $1 million in stock. They could have $1 million in currency. They could have $1 million in cash. They could have $1 million in financial assets. So what Wikipedia says is there are multiple approaches to determining a person's status as a millionaire. One of the 2 most commonly used measurements is net worth, which counts the total value of all property owned by a household minus the household's debts. According to this definition, a household owning an $800,000 home, $50,000 in furnishing, 2 cars worth $60,000, $60,000 in retirement, $45,000 in mutual funds, and a $325,000 vacation home, with the $25 in credit card debt would be worth about $1 million. And every individual in this household thus would be considered a millionaire. So they're not that rare. Probably in the United States, 1 out of every 100 or maybe 1 out of every 200 is a millionaire. To be a multimillionaire, dated ways of describing someone with multiple millions or millionaire times over, still commonly used is multimillionaire, which refers to individuals with assets of 2 million or more of currency. There are approximately 585,000 multimillionaires who have net values of 10 million plus worldwide in 2017. So there are a lot of millionaires. There are millions of millionaires, but there are about 500,000 people that just are multimillionaires. Right. So global cities with the super wealthy per capita higher than 30 million. According to wealth research group WealthX, excluding Monaco, Geneva has the highest density of super wealthy people. So Geneva, Switzerland has the most billionaires. All right. Like I said, there's a big difference between millionaires and billionaires, and I'm going to read something from the Motley Fool. So there are 5.3 million millionaires and 770 billionaires living in the United States. So there are less than 1,000 billionaires in the United States. And there are 5.3 million millionaires. That shows you how the difference is. Like most people don't know any billionaires. Most people, whether you know it or not, you probably know a few millionaires. I'm neither. I'm the opposite. I'm $1 million in debt. No, I'm not doing that bad. With an extra ultra high net worth being out of reach for most, you can most people can amass $1 million through managing money and through time, through decades. The millionaire next door is a lot more common than you might think. For decades, the term millionaire has been one of the most common ways to describe a wealthy individual. It doesn't mean nearly as much as it once did, thanks to inflation, but still widely used and is normally a sign that a person is doing pretty well with personal finance. And then there are billionaires who arguably have more money than any human being could ever need. And I would take that argument as well, that most billionaires, once you reach $1 billion, you do not need any more money than $1 billion. I'll put it in perspective. Okay, a million is 1 million. 1 million is 1,000 thousands. 1 million is 1 with the 6 zeros after it. 1 million seconds is about 11 and a half days. 1 billion seconds is about 31.5 years. 1 million pennies stacked on top of each other would make a tower nearly a mile high. If you had 1 million pennies, stacked them on top of each other, it would be a mile high. 1 billion pennies stacked on top of each other would to make a tower 870 miles high. You could almost get to the moon with 1 billion pennies. If you earn 45,000 a year, it would take you 22 years to save $1 million if you saved everything that you own. So if you had an average job making $45,000 a year, you saved everything you had for 20 plus years, you would have $1 million. If you had the same job making $45,000 a year and you saved all the money that you made, it would take you 22,000 years to get $1 billion. So if you're an average Joe, you're a plumber and you make $45,000 a year, and you live in your mom's basement and you live off of rice and beans and you save every penny you make, it would take you 20 years to save $1 million. But if you did that same thing, it would take you 220 years to get $1 billion. The differences are unimaginable. 1 million ants would weigh about 6 pounds. 1 billion ants would weigh over 3 tons. $1 million divided evenly among the US population would mean everyone in the United States would get about 1/3 of a penny. But $1 billion divided equally among the US population would mean everybody in the United States would get about $3.33. So that's not very much, but $1 billion divided by the whole, United States, everybody gets enough for a cup of coffee. I don't ever plan on being a billionaire. I would like to be a millionaire, but I understand if it's a dime a dozen nowadays, because a millionaire, like it said, it's with inflation, they're becoming more and more common. If you own a house now, but in Hawaii at least, you're considered a millionaire. So the cities with the most millionaires, number one is New York City with 340,000 millionaires. That's a lot of fucking millionaires. Number two, we have Tokyo with 290,000 millionaires. Number three, we have San Francisco Bay Area with 285,000 millionaires. Number four, we have London with 258,000 millionaires. Now, so far, these are some of the four most expensive cities in the world: New York City, Tokyo, San Francisco, and London. Okay, do you see a pattern here? You have to be a millionaire to even live there. Number five, Singapore has 240,000 millionaires. That's a surprise. I've seen the Singapore airport. I've researched Singapore a little bit recently, and they are much more advanced than the United States. The millionaires show at their airport. Number six, Los Angeles. So Singapore has more millionaires than LA. Number six, Los Angeles has 205,000 millionaires. Hong Kong is number seven. Beijing is number eight. Shanghai, number nine. And Sydney, Australia is number 10 with 126,000 millionaires. Disparity in the United States. There is a wide disparity in the estimates of the number of millionaires residing in the United States. A quarterly report prepared by the Economist Intelligence Unit on behalf of Barclays Wealth in 2007 estimated that there are 16.6 million millionaires in the U.S. So there are much more millionaires than were previously estimated. And that's because of inflation. 16% of millionaires inherited their fortunes. 47% of millionaires are business owners, so almost half are small business owners. 23% of the world's millionaires got that way through paid work, consisting mostly of skilled professionals or managers. Millionaires on average are 61 years old with, on average, 3 million in assets. So that's really interesting. How many millionaires are self-made? I was always told that most millionaires have inherited their money, but according to Wikipedia and the Economics Index Unit, Only 16% of millionaires inherited their fortune. 47% of millionaires are business owners. That's the most common way to become a millionaire, is being a business owner. 23% of the world's millionaires got that way through paid work. Now, I would consider that self-made. So 23% of the world's millionaires, or the business owners as well, you could add that to the list. So 47% plus the 23%. So we have almost 70% of millionaires you could consider self-made, that got that way through paid wages or opening and operating their own business. Can you believe that? 70% of millionaires are pretty much self-made, and only 16% of millionaires got that way through inheritance. So that leaves us with about 14% that they left out. So 20 depending on how it's calculated, $1 million in 1900 is equivalent to $35 million in 2022. So there were people that had millions of dollars in 1900, but $1 million then, 125 years ago, was $35 million. $1 million now, not necessarily even as much. Like I said, 1,000 millions make a billion. So being a billionaire is extremely rare. And I have a pretty high bucket list. I have two things on my bucket list. Number one, to make a perfect bracket in the NCAA tournament. Number two, to win the World Series of Poker. All right. Those are two really hard things, really rare things that I might never accomplish. But if I say, hey, God, let me stay on this planet till I have two things on my bucket list. Let me stick around long enough to accomplish those two things. And maybe he'll be like, fuck it. All right. Do it, G. So countries with the most millionaires: United States, we said almost 300,000 millionaires. Number two is China with only 61,000 millionaires. Surprising, because they talk so much smack, China. Bro, you only got 60,000 millionaires. We got like 300,000. Number three, nobody knows what that's going to be. What would you guess? UK, Australia? No. Number three, India? No. Number three is Germany. Germany has 23 million millionaires, or excuse me, 23,000 millionaires. Number four, France, 18,000 millionaires. Number five, Japan, 17 million, 17,000 millionaires. Finally, the UK comes in at number six with 14,000 millionaires. Number seven, Italy with 10,000 millionaires. So as far as Germany, the only countries that are in the top 10 with millionaires are, I mean, as far as Europe, the countries with the most millionaires are Germany, France, UK, and Italy. Canada comes in at number eight with just under 10,000 millionaires. And Russia's all the way at number nine with 8,000 millionaires. So Russia is such a poor country. There are more millionaires in Canada. Russia is huge and they're extremely poor. Their whole country is poor. They have very few millionaires. Number 10 is Switzerland with 8,000 millionaires. So look at the difference in size between Switzerland and Russia. You could fit 100 Switzerlands inside Russia, maybe more, but they have the same number of millionaires. Number 11, Spain with 6,000 millionaires. Number 12, India with only just under 6,000 millionaires. India has 1 billion people and they only have 5,000 or 6,000 millionaires. India has 1 billion poor people. What is 5,000 percentage of 1 billion? 99%, or at least 98%, or probably. But there's only 5,000, 6,000 millionaires in the whole country of India, which has 1 billion people. Do the math. What is 5,000 what percentage of India are millionaires? Less than 1%. It's amazing. Talk about wealth and equality. India has 1 billion people and only 5,000 millionaires. I've known 5,000 millionaires throughout my life, probably. I'm grateful to have grown up in the United States. All right. Number 13, South Korea. With all their technology and all their innovation, they only have 5,800 millionaires. We're not talking billionaires, we're talking millionaires. They're rare. Earlier I was saying, oh, they're a dime a dozen. Well, in the United States, we have almost 300,000 millionaires. But in South Korea, in Russia, there's only 5,000. In India, there's only 6,000. Like, that's why everybody looks at the United States. The United States doesn't just have the number one military, they have the number one economy. They have the most money, the most powerful economy with the most money. That's what they're slowly trying to shut down here. All right, number 14, Sweden. And the only Middle East country on our list is Saudi Arabia, number 15. So all those countries in Saudi and all those countries in the Middle East, Iraq, Jordan, United Arab Emirates, Kuwait, the World Cup was held in Qatar. All out of all those countries, the only one that makes the list is Saudi Arabia with 5,000 millionaires. So that entire area, even Israel, apparently Israel doesn't have many millionaires either. Out of that entire area, you have a handful of millionaires. What you will take from today's podcast, what I'm learning from today's podcast is just how wealthy the United States is. It's insane. When you talk about wealth inequality and wealth distribution, there are a numerous amount of wealthy people in the United States, unlike any other country that you can name, including China. It's not even close, including Russia, including all of Europe. The United States just has so many millionaires. It's and billionaires. It's insane. Like, yes, tax the rich, feed the rich to the poor. It's gotten incredible. The United States has too many millionaires, too many billionaires in the United States, no doubt about it. Who are these motherfuckers? Well, let's see who the 25 richest Americans, according to Forbes in April 2023. Number one, Elon Musk. He has $180 billion. Elon, I used to like you, but now that we look at the numbers, I'm sorry, dude. You are not cool enough for $180 billion. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, bro. You're not changing the world. Fuck going to Mars. Kids die of starvation every day. Fix that issue. All right. Fuck Mars. All right. There's fucking alien artifacts on the moon, and it's a lot fucking closer. All right. Number two, we have Jeff Bezos. He has 114 billion. All right. I'm the okay. At least I'm younger than everybody on the list. No, Mark Zuckerberg, you bitch. He's 5 years old, younger than me. All right. Number four, Bill Gates. Just the smoothest cat in the room, huh? Bill Gates. Even if you weren't a billionaire, even if you didn't have $138 billion, you'd be getting all the ladies, Bill Gates. You're just that cool. You're just that smooth. Fuck LL Cool J. LL Bill Gates J. All the ladies love Bill Gates. And fucking Bizarro World, you fucking creep. You should be the spokesman for Subway. Take over Jared's job because you're basically Jared as a billionaire. You should be sent to the same fucking prison cell, Bill Gates. Share it with Jared and you guys can talk about your fucking sicky shit, bitch. All right. Number four, Larry Ellison, Oracle. I won't talk much bad about Larry Ellison because he lives in Hawaii and he's already bought one of the islands. Hopefully he doesn't buy me. Hey, Larry Ellison, you're a good dude in my book, whoever the fuck you are. Founder of Oracle, has 119 billion. All right, number five, Mark Zuckerberg. Oh, source of wealth, Meta. Meta? The only thing you hear about Meta is it's a fucking joke. That's your source of wealth? Zuckerberg, you're the fifth wealthiest person in the world, and your source of wealth is Meta? The only thing you ever hear about Meta is how it's stupid. All right? It's how it's fucking beta, how it's fucking dumb as fuck. Just like Facebook. I stopped using Facebook in 2008. I'm sorry. grandmas and grandpies that still use it, but it's not cool. It hasn't been for a generation now. Why is Mark Zuckerberg the fifth richest person in the world? Somebody take all of his money and imprison him. Fuck putting Donald Trump in prison. Put these guys in prison, or at least the ones I don't like. Zuckerberg, Bill Gates. Hey, I don't even if Bill Gates needs to go away regardless. Well, he's dead now. Now he's probably gonna send somebody after me, or they'll just make it so nobody listens to my fucking podcast and and nobody hears me making fun of him. Yeah. All right, number 6, Larry Page. Source of wealth, Alphabet Inc. Not even sure what that is. I think Google, right? Warren Buffett, number 7, stock trader, Berkshire Hathaway. He has 115 billion. Number 8, Sergey Brin, also from Alphabet, 113 billion. Number 7, Steve Ballmer. I know he owns the Clippers. Source of wealth, Microsoft. He has just under $100 billion. If I had that much money, I would own a basketball team as well. Number 11, Jim Walton. Number 12, Alice Walton. Number 13, Rob Walton. Those 3 Waltons have a combined wealth of about 200 billion fucking dollars. You making enough money, Waltons? Huh? Why don't you open up some fucking free soup kitchens in your Walmart parking lots? That would do something for the community. Give people pizzas or something. I don't know. Number 14, Michael Dell, Hook 'em Horns. I didn't know Michael Dell was that rich. He has $59 billion. He lived in the Domi dormitory, which I spent hours, years hanging out and working in as well. Number 15, Phil Knight has 57 billion from Nike. Number 16, Mackenzie Scott, 54 billion from Amazon. Number 17, Charles Koch or Koch. Number 18, Julie Koch. Number 19, Lynn Balaventic. No, see, it's funny the Waltons are all right next to each other, and that didn't happen on accident. For that to happen on accident would be astronomical. And then you have these 2 Kochs, Charles Koch and Julia Koch, also right next to each other with the exact number of wealth each. No, there's some shady shit going on. Oh, they have the exact equal amount. Yeah, right. Number 20, Stephen A. Schwarzman, 34 billion. Number 21, John Mars, 33 billion. Number 22, Jacqueline Mars, 33 billion. What a coincidence. Number 23, Leonard Lauder, 29 billion from Estee Lauder. Number 24, Miriam Andelson with 28 billion from the Las Vegas Sands Casino. Number 25, Dan Gilbert, owner of the Cleveland Cavaliers, 26 billion from Rocket Mortgage. I own some stock in Rocket Mortgage, and then I lost all the fucking money. All right, some more wealthy. Those are the 20 wealthiest people in the United States, and they didn't mention Rupert Murdoch, Harold Hamm, Ray Dalio, people with 4 billion and less than 10 billion. You know, wow, George Soros. So there's a lot of wealthy people in the world. The number of billionaires in the United States, like I said, in the United States we have over almost 300,000 millionaires, but there are only 2,600 billionaires in the United States. And every other country, they don't even they don't even hit 1,000. China is number 2 with 700 billionaires. India is number 3 with 160 billionaires. You can count it on one hand almost. Number 4, Germany, 120 billionaires. So that is incredible. The United States has 2,000, or excuse me, no, the United States only has 700 billionaires. The number of billionaires worldwide is 2,600. The United States has just 700 billionaires. So when I found out there was only 2 or 3 billionaires that lived in Hawaii, I was surprised. But when you break it down, the entire United States only has 700 billionaires. China has about 500 billionaires. India has about 150 billionaires. Germany and Russia each have about 100 billionaires. Hong Kong has 60 billionaires. Italy has 60 billionaires. Canada has 60 billionaires. United Kingdom has 50 billionaires. Taiwan has 50 billionaires. Brazil has 50 billionaires. Australia only has 47 billionaires, but at least they're not doing as bad as France with only 43 billionaires. I wipe more billionaires for breakfast. Number 14, Switzerland, 41 billionaires. You would think there would be more billionaires in Switzerland because there's a lot of millionaires in Switzerland. Number 17, Singapore has 35 billionaires. Japan has 40 billionaires. Sweden has 39 billionaires. Israel has 30 billionaires. So Israel doesn't have a lot of millionaires, but they have 30 billionaires. South Korea also 30 billionaires. Indonesia has 29 billionaires. Thailand has 28 billionaires. Thailand doesn't have hardly any millionaires, but they have 28 billionaires. Spain, 27 billionaires. Turkey, 26 billionaires. Malaysia, 18 billionaires. Mexico, 14 billionaires. Philippines, 14 billionaires. Netherlands, 12 billionaires. Norway, 12 billionaires. There are very few billionaires. Now we're getting to the few and far between. Austria, 11 billionaires. Czech Republic, 11 billionaires. Ireland, one of the wealthiest countries in the world, that only has 9 billionaires. So I guess from what research I've done and on this podcast, Ireland has an extremely wealthy economy, but not many millionaires and not many billionaires. That tells me that they have a less problem with a wealth inequality and wealth distribution. Number 8, Cyprus. Cyprus, that small island, has 8 billionaires. Okay. I've been doing some research on the Mediterranean, and I'm going to make a note that Cyprus has 8 billionaires. That's 9 billionaires per 1,000 people. That's the highest I've seen on the list here. Next to Monaco. Monaco has 3 billionaires. Monaco is an even smaller country. So Cyprus, 8 billionaires. Denmark, 8 billionaires. Chile, 7. Poland, 7. Finland, 7. Egypt, 6. Greece, 6. Kazakhstan, 6. So the same number of billionaires live in Greece than live in Kazakhstan, than live in Egypt, 6. Vietnam, 6. Lebanon, 6. South Africa, that huge country, only has 5 billionaires. Can you believe that? The United States has a fucking monopoly on millionaires and billionaires. That's the best thing, the most important thing to take from this podcast is the United States economy defeats all other economies by far, similar to how their military is superior over other countries' militaries. There is just so many wealthy people in the United States, and they're the ones keeping the wheels turning. They're the ones paying these outrageous taxes, and they're going to have to raise taxes as well. Now, the rest of the countries, they only have a few billionaires. Argentina, huge country, only 5 billionaires. United Arab Emirates, only 4 billionaires. Belgium, 4 billionaires. Colombia, 4 billionaires. Nigeria, one of the fastest growing countries in the world, only has 3 billionaires. New Zealand, huge country, land-wise and population, only 3 billionaires. Monaco, 3 billionaires. Bulgaria, 2 billionaires. Peru, 2 billionaires. St. Kitts and Nevis, 2 billionaires. Romania, 2. Malta, 2. Slovakia, 2. Georgia, 2. Uruguay, 2. Portugal only has 1 billionaire in that entire country. Barbados, Estonia, Nepal, Morocco, Oman. Venezuela has 1 billionaire in that huge country in South America. 1 billionaire. I think I might know him too. Algeria, 1 billionaire. Angola, 1 billionaire. Eswatini, 1. Hungary, 1. Iceland, 1. Kuwait, 1. Tanzania, 1. Zimbabwe, 1. Qatar, the fucking World Cup was just in Qatar, and they have only 1 billionaire. That's unbelievable. The wealth distribution, it's just insane. The number of wealthy people in the United States, like I said, there are 735 billionaires in the United States. The majority of countries only have a few billionaires. There's almost 300,000 millionaires in the United States. You know, most countries don't even make the list on the millionaires. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed today's podcast, episode number 30. The Mr. G podcast is available wherever you listen to podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. Just Google Mr. G Hawaii podcast or Gregory Brandt podcast. Full episodes of the Mr. G podcast are uploaded in their entirety at youtube.com/Mr. G Hawaii or twitter.com/Gregory Brandt. Thank you guys for listening. We'll continue talking about millionaires and billionaires tomorrow. And I'll tell you a couple personal stories about different millionaires I've known and possibly billionaires. Everybody have a great day from me and my street kitties. Aloha.